Hello everyone. This will be the introduction, the recording of the introductory, basically lecture tutorial on Excel and how we can make data work for us as frontline education workers. Now I'm going to say two and a half things about data in general, just so we can all start from the same page. Uh, so this may be a couple of steps backwards, but it's important that we all start with the right fundamentals before moving on to doing more complex things with data. The first thing to say about data, and Excel in particular, or spreadsheets, is that they're simply fast. They're not smart. They don't do anything new to data. They don't, without doing anything complex, they're not going to add anything to the data. The data's already there. They simply apply formulae to the data very quickly. These are things that you can do with pen and paper if you want. You could graph these with pen and paper. But we're going to take some shortcuts to quickly show things that are interesting or highlight things that are already evident in the data but may not be immediately clear to the human eye. So it's important to remember you as the operator, you're the one that's smart here, you're the one with the skills, you have expertise in education, and try to keep that in mind. Data isn't something out there. Data is something you're already using anecdotally. Data is something that you can already see, but we're going to try to make it crystal clear so you can show other people as well that you're thinking about what's going on inside your classroom, inside the classes that you coordinate, or even broader. The second thing is data can never give you a why to a question, or it can't add further questions for you to ask. It only can answer questions. The more simple, the better. If you ask it a very complex question, you're likely going to get a lot of noise in your answer. So it's not going to be crystal clear what the answer to that is. If you want to ask it complex things, the best thing to do is probably to ask it a series of simple questions. Okay. And the last thing, this is my last half thing, is data's meaningless if it doesn't prompt a response in us as teachers. Data isn't something that's summative, though we frequently apply it to summative assessment data. We should always be thinking about it as really a diagnostic measure so we can apply it to maybe the next cohort. So we're adjusting assessment tasks for future students, or we're adjusting the next sequence of lessons to fill in a gap that's now evident through the data that we've created. Okay, that's my 3-minute lecture on our starting point for data. It's not an endpoint. It's not always going to justify what you want it to justify. It might tell you something you don't want to know, but it is what it is. If you're asking it the right questions, it's going to give you the right answers. Now, as this is the introductory lesson on Excel, I'm going to go through some basic things. Most of these are going to be one-step applications, and they're mostly going to be about making you feel comfortable when working with data. So on this raw standard one, I've blacked out the surnames and first names because this is being recorded. And in fact, right now, I'm just going to highlight them and I'm going to delete these two just so when I move things around, I don't accidentally reveal student names. So the first thing is this is what happens when you export the central data of a full cohort. It looks kind of messy, things are spaced out, and it doesn't look great. And if you're not comfortable with data, I can entirely understand why this would look overwhelming. And at this first step, you'd think, no, thank you. So I'm going to press Control A and highlight everything and go to the font color, and I'm going to tone it down. Maybe I'm even going to tone it down this far. And now that's my first step of not having a bunch of numbers shown in, like spat at my face, I should say. it makes me feel a little bit like there's something urgent on the screen. Now I'm going to clean up the things I don't want. I'm going to look for the AT1 marks. I'm going to delete everything else because the way that we've set up Central is so the AT marks are a percentage, and I like working with things that are the same. Oh, AT3 mark isn't there. Beautiful. Now that we've got this working, I'd suggest doing highlighting the columns of the data that you're going to use. So here is the AT1 mark. I'm going to click, hold, and I'm going to drag down. And then I'm going to go back up to here to fill. I'm going to use one of these soft colors to indicate that this is a raw mark. I haven't done anything to this. I haven't averaged it out. I haven't done anything like that. And in fact, I'm probably going to do the same with this one. Maybe I'll just use a different color just to show that these two are something different. I'll use a similar color. There we go. And with those two couple of things, now it's starting to look a little bit less, how should I say this? It's starting to look a little bit less busy. And I can return the color back to black. And it's because we've deleted all those excess columns and then we've started to tidy it up. It doesn't look so bad. Another thing I'd like to show you is hiding cells. Hiding columns, hiding rows. Here I'm going to hide a column. So I've clicked on the B here with that down and then hide. So it goes A, C, D, E, F, G, etc. And if I now highlight the two to either side and unhide, it's going to reveal that middle column again. Excellent. So those are the first things to do. So I wasn't applying anything to the data. I was just making the data look less busy so I can process it at my own pace and I don't feel overwhelmed with what it's showing me. Now, I'm going to show you this. So this is something that has been processed. I've deleted all the names here. I really hope that I haven't missed any. What I've done here is I've just highlighted all of the 11BES2 class, and then I've changed the fill color there so I can see that these are distinct classes. That's a simple application of using that fill tool there. So I've got a mark and a dot point, so nothing has been applied here. This is simply something we did that was entered to assess where students are earning their marks. Another thing here is I've done a little conditional formatting thing here, so we can see these darker colors, or this is the blue in this case, a white in the kind of middle, and then a red at the bottom. In this case, it's this yellowy color at the bottom. There you go. And it goes all the way up to a green color. So this is a nice visual way of representing where things are. If you were to look at this without any formatting on it, there we go. It kind of just looks like numbers. It's hard to tell exactly where it is, but with the bit of color, that splash of color, it's a lot more easy to process. Now, I'm going to move all the way back to here, and this is what it looks like without any color, without any real sort of sorting. Very funny. I'm going to go through the really core functions that Excel can apply to something. So I'm just going to make a very phony looking set of data. And the first thing is you type in the equal sign and then a bracket And you have two options here. You can either type in the coordinates for another cell. In this case, I'll go A1 and then close the bracket, and I'm pressing enter. It doesn't matter what you press. And now it's displaying what's in A2. The second way that you can do that is equals bracket, and then you can click on a cell and it's automatically going to fill in the coordinates of that cell. Another thing that you can apply is so I'm going to say A1, but I'm also going to do +1. Cool. It does the maths for me. The basic functions, it's got minus, which is next to the plus. You've got divide, which is the slash, and you have multiply, which is the asterisk. Now, those are the fundamentals of formulae. Now, if you are going to do a series of formulae, a comma indicates that you are going to do, say, two separate cells. So now I have this and this. So the comma really means and. If I change this comma to colons, that makes it a series. So A1 through to A3. And if I were to expand the A3 to A5, it's now made that a series. Now, it doesn't really this doesn't make sense. I'm asking it to say, what is A1 to A5? Something you can ask it to do is to add up all of those numbers. In this case, it's called sum, and the sum of those numbers is 30. Another one, it will do all of the mathematics behind it. If you write average before the brackets and then write a series, it will calculate the average. Another one is standard deviation. I think you can just do stdev. Yep, there you go. We're not going to worry about the population and sample. stdev is more than enough for everything we're going to do. So you've got sum, average, and standard deviation as stdev. Now, I'm going to show you how to expand sections now. So Excel knows what it's doing. It can follow a pattern. In this case, I've been adding up by 2. If I hold this part at the end and drag it, it's going to continue that same trend. And the same thing is applied to, let's say times 3. Sure, just arbitrarily, that's what I want. So if I now grab this corner and drag it down, it's going to do the coordinates as 2 to the left, and that's kind of what it's thinking. And now this one is A2, so 2 to the left of it times 3, and 2 to the left of this one, whoop, show me, 2 to the left of this one is there. Okay, so you could even like highlight this and then drag that down. It's not going to change it because it's the same thing. You can do combinations here. You can do, I've already shown you a little bit of a combination there, but for example, I don't know, you could do equals A1 plus, and then I'll do a different section. Let's say A2 divided by 3. There's no sense. This isn't a useful bit of data, but it does demonstrate what functions Excel has. Now I've got about a minute left, and I really wanted to show you the formatting that you can do to this one. So with the 30 seconds, I'm going to highlight all of this middle stuff here and conditional formatting. Color scales, I'm going to have green at the top. So green is the highest number here, and red is the lowest number here. That's another quick way to do that. And at the bottom, I might also do equals average, and then I'm going to click and drag down. Oh,